My name is Tonya Curry, and this is this week's Acumen Media Report. It's entitled 3, 2, 1, Go, a media dive. Hello, South Africa. Tell me how you're doing.
How you doing?
You've survived another week, and I, for one, am enormously proud of how you're still standing. Let's check in on our mental health before reading this report. If you need to take your meds, this is a caution to do it now, or you may feel like you've entered a slippy slide at one of those theme parks, or suddenly became a character in a Lewis Carroll book. A rabbit hole, but one rapidly filling with water. In diving, we are told to go on go. When the skipper counts 3, 2, 1, go, you go. You roll off that boat backwards. If you miss the count, you stay on the boat and they'll drop you on the next pivot. Let's scratch the surface of a stonker of a week with 3, 2, 1, go. I must start with the not-so-scary terror attack warning from the US Embassy this week. The Yanks should learn something, and fast. With narratives like this, we've just chucked you off the boat. I mean, imagine how scared a fundamental terrorist would be in Johannesburg. He'd run for the hills. Come on, man, know your audience. You see, their flaw was that the US Embassy released the terror warning themselves, not via the Prez. They first said it was an attempted attack on the US Embassy itself. Hold up. Have you seen that place? I've been there, and let me tell you that you barely get to make it into the building with your clothes on. And once you're through the bomb checks, you have to walk a good kilometer to get inside a 10-inch thick security glass set of windows. Here you are confronted by an unseen human behind more security glass that is so thick that you use a set of microphones to talk to each other. We were never going to buy that. Then the narrative changed course, and it turned out the attack was on Sandton. Anywhere in particular? The shopping mall, obviously. I took to Twitter. I never believe headlines like this, and people were saying, Batung, isn't it Pride this weekend? Turns out there are several enormous events this weekend. Pride, yes, but also the Soweto Derby and the King's coronation. These guys didn't do their homework. I sat with that until my president, and I say my president for the first time in a long time, bared his teeth. He made a public statement saying that it was unfortunate that the embassy didn't call the country's heads to tell them about this terror attack, and that it is against protocol.
It was quite unfortunate that the US government issued that type of warning without having had deep dive type of discussions with us. But following that, we were able to engage them and to get to understand precisely where this warning or information has come from. We are in the course of doing precisely that.
He continued to say that they had created panic unnecessarily and that we have not received any evidence of a potential threat.
Because warnings such as those do send a lot of panic amongst our people, and South Africans should be best informed by the South African government.
Now watch the international media headlines. Ramaphosa says terror threat unfortunate. That's not what he said. He said you lied. And you did, because you refused to give us proof.
There is simply zero proof.
We also know that there was an oligarch yacht that cruised around for a bit that the US told us to stop. But a bit like the Guptas at Waterkloof, the yacht kept on cruising. Britain came out quickly to reprimand us and ran the same headlines. We didn't care. Well, actually, that's not true. We do care. Us ordinary sappers. But we're street smart. And it didn't take us long to work out that the weekend is going to be brilliant with festivities everywhere. And guess what? 3, 2, 1, go. Get off the boat. Hashtag we march. Talking about getting off the boat, Koko and 7 co-accused, most of which were his family, daughters to boot, were arrested for stealing 2.2 billion from Eskom. You remember Eskom, that entity that gives us lights? They got 70,000 Rand bail each, and so we wait for what is likely to be another case for Dali. No, man, not the artist, although you make a good point. This might as well be a Dali painting. Malema's kept very quiet. That pesky Zondo has actually made an impact in our Prez is getting those implicated in state capture arrested one by one. Word on the street is that Salma Essa is next. And guess who's been asked to be the skipper of the state capture arrest boat? Didi Mabuza. Now, before you get seasick, breathe and look at the horizon. If he doesn't do as he's told, he might be marooned. 3, 2, 1, go. You see, I'm in an abusive relationship with our president. All of the above makes me so happy that even when I'm given an Enoch to the head, Enoch Godongwane's midterm budget speech read like something out of Chairman Mao's handbook. First, let me tell you what you didn't see in the headlines. The EFF arrived with placards calling Godongwane a woman abuser. Regardless, Enoch went on to tell us that the government is in debt to the tune of 4.7 trillion. He then told us the government is giving 3.4 billion to Denel, that the government is taking on a large part of the Eskom's deal and debt. He gave 500 million to Home Affairs to fix that troublesome card printing machine. And are you ready for this? 118 million is going to be used to build a parliament building. Yes, friend, our KZN flood victims are living in buses and they didn't get a cent. 3, 2, 1, go. Get off the boat. Leave your life jacket behind. You're a mad hatter, almost 5 trillion in debt, and you want more debt to loot out the SOEs again. You leave our countrymen without water, electricity and food, but you go build your fancy building, which could be replaced with a Zoom call. It's 2022. Oh well, at least the EFF can walk out of somewhere again. I hope it's not another glass building. Really, please leave the boat. The skipper is having a rant. Oh, then there's this perler of a story. You remember my friend Busisiwe? Makubane, Madam. Ah, now you remember. Yes, Dali Mpofu left the 194 inquiry completely. He just dropped it like he was a Kanye sponsor. He says the whole thing is illegal and he will not participate in illegal activities. Then Malema said if Madam doesn't have legal representation, he's off this boat too, no count needed. A new trick, everyone. Legal counsel leaves and we get another postponement. 3, 2, 1, gone. Zuma, Mbeki and Motlanthe all addressed us about how bad Cupcake is at his job as president. Nice speeches from Mbeki always. I was surprised at our weekend special president, Motlanthe. You could have stayed, man. We liked you. And then Zuma, well, there must be something wrong with me. But it was Zuma's address that put a smile on my face. It was so nice to see Zuma on screen. He couldn't read and cleared his throat as the lies poured out of his mouth like a diver vomiting off the edge of the boat. He said how he had served his time in prison and that he was detained without trial and all of that wara wara. So fun to watch, but it did make me think. You know how you get fantasy football teams? Who would be in your fantasy cabinet? They don't need to be politicians. I can only come up with a handful of names. Well, 3. And we need thousands. Maybe that's for next week's report because the political landscape is filled with coalition collision. They didn't listen to the count. And if you don't go on go, you'll land on the top of someone's head with a cylinder. That's not a cool way to have a dive, semi-conscious. Or the slide to the left, slide to the right, abstain from voting shenanigans have left the ANC back in charge. Tanya Campbell was ousted from the Ikuruleni, which left her face shell-shocked. 7 votes were the margin. 7. Unreal. Less than a single vote. The EFF abstained. Well, obviously, these guys must think we are idiots. We are watching mayhem and waves that are bigger than any boats. Come on, are we 3-year-olds? People are being kidnapped and killed for their minnow positions in their government. Skosana, a municipal manager, was kidnapped and her and her driver were later found. The woman uses a wheelchair. Where is your compassion? Liza Vakale, the Eastern Cape Province chair of Nahawu, was kidnapped and burnt. The perpetrator fessed up. It was a woman. Operation Dudula is riding back into town, and all that leaves us with is a backlog at the courts that stop these cases from being dealt with. CAS 637-2022. Are you sure? If you're a regular reader, you'll remember our brave friend now in court facing her abuser, and she was asked again, are you sure? Not once, but twice. And each time the question came from a woman. 3, 2, 1, go. Put the illegal people on a bus and send them home and help stop femicide. There was a Joburg man arrested after 6 women's bodies were found in a workshop. Some guy killed his girlfriend and put her under his bed. Are you sure? Tasnie's killer was found guilty of murdering this child and raping her relatives, and the Krugersdorp gang rape charges were dropped. Just push them off the boat. I've long used up my words, so swiftly and with ease.
Easy peasy.
Fuel shedding may be a thing. Transnet is the new Eskom. Alta got rid of e-tolls. Make a contribution to those oaks today. They actually fix stuff. Polokwane has no water. Rand Water says water shortages are due to climate change, and it's your fault for using your basic human rights. WhatsApp shedding trended on Twitter as we all felt that WhatsApp outage. Eskom can't stick to a schedule or to a stage, more bad acting. 190,000 driver's licenses are to be cancelled because they were bought. Someone else hasn't been potty trained at Stelli's. What even is that? Then there was another tavern shooting. The ANC will pay wages, just not today. Lyft is a new airline doing a Durban run, so come visit, won't you? And happy Diwali. Across the continent, Kanye or Ye finally blew it and was escorted out of Skechers after Adidas dropped his mic and trampled on it because of his Jewish hate. Yet another UK Prime Minister, this time Rishi Sunak, a brown person. Now that is progressive for the Brits. Russia are having nuclear drills. And then to close, and certainly not welcome on my boat, Chief Twit is Elon Musk's Twitter handle. At least something is right in the world. Psst. Listen before I go. What if our Prez is playing a slow chess game? Small and big wins this week. Some real 3-2-1 goes. I'm Tonya Curry, and I'm getting off the boat this weekend to find a porcupine pufferfish that is my new best friend. Thank you for scratching the surface with me, and remember, go on go.